Hello everyone, we are from Group 6 and we will do a presentation about Chapter 6, The Ethic of Consumer Production and Marketing. And our group consists of Arton Tishira, Tiara Rizky, and Divya Salsabila. And before we start our presentation, this is the learning objective that you can see below.
Everyday consumer risk. This section discusses the significant risk associated with consumer products. The text highlights alarming statistics on injuries and deaths caused by products such as motor vehicles, firearms, and cigarettes. For instance, motor vehicles kill about 30,000 Americans annually and injure millions more, while cigarettes are responsible for nearly 450,000 deaths each year in the US alone. The section emphasizes the ethical responsibility of manufacturers to address this risk. Next is markets and consumer protection. There is arguments for the free market approach. This approach suggests that market forces should ensure product safety without government intervention. The belief is that if consumer demand safer products, manufacturers will provide them to stay competitive. And there is criticism of the market approach. Critics argue that markets are rarely perfectly competitive, which undermines the assumption that they can self-regulate consumer protection effectively. Factors like information asymmetry, where consumers lack the expertise to evaluate product safety, necessitate regulatory oversight. Move to moral duties to consumers. This section outlines the ethical obligation manufacturers have towards consumers under the contractual view. So there are several moral duties to consumer. The first one is duty to comply with claims, ensuring that the product's reliability, service life, maintainability, and safety meet both express and implied claims. Second one is duty of disclosure. Manufacturers must provide consumers with all relevant information about the product. The third one is duty not misrepresent. Misrepresentation through false advertising or deceptive practices is morally wrong as it coerces consumers. The last one is duty not to coerce, ensuring that consumers' choices are free and informed. Next to the due care view of the manufacturer's duties to consumer. There is principle of due care. This view asserts that manufacturers have a moral obligation to protect consumers from harm. This includes foreseeing potential dangers and taking educated steps to mitigate them. And then there also have components of due care. Manufacturers must conduct thorough inquiries into how their products will be used and anticipate possible misuses. They must design products to prevent foreseeable harm and inform consumers of any irremovable risk. They are morally negligent only if they fail to take reasonable precautions that could have been anticipated and prevented the harm.
The social cost view of the manufacturer's duties to consumer. The social cost view of manufacturer duties holds that manufacturers should bear the cost of any injuries caused by their product, even if they exercise all due care in design, manufacturing, and warning about foreseeable dangers. This perspective imposes liability for injuries from defects that were unforeseeable or unpreventable, distinguishing advertising from other communication. Commercial advertising is often seen as merely providing information to consumer, but this overlooks its primary functions, selling product. Many ads contain minimal useful information about product, emphasizing persuasion over information. The advertising and the creations of consumer desires. John T. Galbraith and others argue that advertising manipulates consumer by creating desire solely to absorb industrial output. Galbraith distinguished between physical and psychological desire, claiming that advertising can manipulate the latter to stimulate consumption. However, it's unclear whether advertising has such a pervasive manipulative effect, and historical examples suggest the creation of desire predates modern advertising. Nonetheless, some ads, particularly those targeting children or using subliminal messaging, are intended to manipulate consumer desire covertly, undermining consumer autonomy and ethical advertising standards. Advertising and its deceptive effect on consumer beliefs. The most common criticism of advertising revolves around its impact on consumer belief, with a focus on deceptive practice. Deceptive advertising can involve misrepresenting the product using false testimonials, quoting misleading price, or failing to disclose defects. More complex scams like bait-and-switch tactics also fall under deceptive advertising. Consumer privacy. Advancements in technology have enabled the extensive collection, manipulation, and dissemination of personal information about consumers, raising concern about privacy invasion and potential harm from inaccurate data. Credit bureaus maintain comprehensive file on millions of consumers containing detailed financial and personal data, but errors are common, with a study finding inaccurate in 43% of reports. Consumers worry about inappropriate sharing of their information, such as selling names to junk mailers. Understanding privacy and consumer rights is crucial in discussing these issues.
Case study: Promoting infant formula in the 21st century. The marketing of infant formula in developing countries has sparked ethical concern due to its potential impact on infant health and breastfeeding practices. Despite efforts by organizations like UNICEF to promote breastfeeding as the optimal choice for infant nutrition, aggressive marketing tactics by formula companies have led to a decline in breastfeeding rates in these regions. The history of infant formula development and marketing reveals a complex interplay between business interests, public health consideration, and ethical dilemma surrounding the promotion of infant feeding alternatives. And the company response toward this issue is the criticism against infant formula companies in developing world promoted various response from the companies. While some argued for a woman's freedom of choice, others attributed issues to poverty and health condition. Companies like Nestle formed the HFA and adopted marketing ethics code, recognizing breast milk as the preferred feeding choices. However, concern remain regarding direct formula promotion and ensuring proper use. About laboratories developed its codes, emphasizing the avoidance of unsupervised promotion and accurate preparation instruction. The failure of companies like Abbott Laboratories to consider the danger of aggressive marketing of infant formula led to global outcry and activism, culminating in the formation of the International Code of Marketing Breastfeeding Milk Substitutes in 1981. This code, which aimed to regulate marketing practices and promote breastfeeding, was initially voluntary but gained widespread adoption by most companies. Nestle, initially resistant, eventually agreed to implement the code in developing countries in 1984. Following a global boycott, continue monitoring ensure compliance and safeguard infant health and breastfeeding promotion effort. Conclusion: the discussion highlights the ethical and practical issues related to the consumer products, emphasizing the significant risks they pose and the need for both market-based and regulatory protection. It discusses the moral duties of manufacturers, including due care and social costs, advocating for strict liability to ensure manufacturers cover injury costs. Advertising ethics are securities for their social impact and potential deception, while privacy concerns are addressed in the context of balancing consumer protection with business needs. A case study on infant formula marketing in the developing country illustrates the ethical challenges and the importance of strengthened marketing practices to safeguard public health.